UC Health may be struggling with their legal team with HIPAA issues. So typically, it's been my experience anyway, that it's more expedient if you do a HIPAA compliant court order. Have me sign it.
And Judge, I'm happy to do it. I can tell you, I've never had to do that in a criminal case, but I'm happy to do it. We had the releases in the criminal case this whole time, so I'm confused why that would be applicable. But if you mean just using ones we would typically use in a civil case and adapting it to a criminal, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I've only been doing it for 34 years, but I've seen this happen often with respect to the for medical records. So why don't we pick another date here, just for a subpoena or court order return, I guess we'll call it, maybe the 13th.
We'll make whatever date the court sets work.
Oh, I guess if you could get it to me by tomorrow, I could sign it and upload it for the 9th, maybe.
Okay.
So that perhaps would provide enough time.
And Judge, just so the record's clear, we haven't received any objections. So, and I know the coroner's office is present. We're happy to do boots and suspenders, but we would note that these were properly served. We'll file also the return of service. We just haven't received an objection.
All right. Well, why don't you, at the same time you upload the proposed order, upload your return of service, and that can perhaps deal with both of them at the same time and make it returnable on the 9th, I guess.
13th.
9th, I think we'll do the 9th. Just, I think because we're scheduled for trial on the 27th, I think the sooner the better.
Could we do maybe 3 o'clock? I'll stand. Could we do maybe 3 o'clock on the 9th? We just have a
No,
9:30? Could we do it?
no. I mean, really what the court order would be is they bring the records into me.
Right.
And then once I get them, presumably, I will enter an order that says people can come copy them.
Oh, okay. So you don't need us here.
No, I don't need you here. I suppose you could appear by WebEx if you wanted to, just in case
Okay.
somebody doesn't show up.
Okay.
And I think with respect to the coroner, the court will defer for till the 9th so we can get VRA compliance.
Will the court allow, I don't want to make Ms. Brancucci Jordan come back since she's here. Can she tender to the court what she has so she doesn't have to come back and the court holds it?
Sure, I'll lock it up. Sure, but for the record, could you, I've heard your name slaughtered over a period of time. How do you actually pronounce it? That's what I thought. Brancucci. Okay, thank you.
I apologize.
No, it wasn't. It's been repeatedly mispronounced, I think, but in any event. All right, I think the next one I'll try to tackle is the I suppose the opinions of Dr. Carroll and Dr. Bronsky with respect to whether or not they disagree with perhaps my motion for judgment of acquittal ruling.
And Judge, I can simply state on behalf of Mr. Cooper, again, Shauna Bagan, we would never ask witnesses to improperly opine as to legal conclusions. We provided reports that were written that went where they went with their personal thoughts, but certainly that is not, this isn't a civil case. Those aren't depositions, and it doesn't, from our perspective, lay out a blueprint. It was just providing the information. Certainly, we would never elicit a statement as to a conclusion of law, and we certainly are not asking the court to reconsider any judgments of acquittal.
All right. Well, the court certainly is not going to allow, it would be, as I see it, would be like me opining on expert medical opinions, which I have little training on. So certainly, I wouldn't expect doctors would be able to testify on legal conclusions. And I know that we all don't agree on with every case law opinion that comes out of our appellate courts, but certainly People v. Nygren, Nygren at 696 Pacific 2nd 270, and People v. Alaire, Allaire at 843 Pacific 2nd 38. I can understand why people would perhaps not agree with those opinions out of the Court of Appeals, but they're the law that I have to follow. So I would expect that you would, before your doctors testify, you would give them a clear indication that the court won't accept that. In fact, I would strike the testimony if they get into that area and perhaps even consider contempt sanctions. So, all right, what's next? Oh, yeah, this one's a little thorny, I suppose, and it would, I suppose at first blush, my thought when the issue was first raised was the testimony or evidence concerning what had occurred prior to the arrival of the paramedics, Mr. Cooper and Chichuniak. I suppose that's a little bit thorny in that if the fingers point in a different direction for this trial, in other words, that the law enforcement officers didn't do what they were supposed to do in informing the paramedics, it would occur to the court that what the officers saw and did would certainly become relevant, but on behalf of the defendants.
Judge, I think we would stand on the record we previously made. I certainly hear, we hadn't obviously had access to prior trials when we made our prior records. And I understand the court's concern and how that could be relevant. I guess really the issue would be openings. Certainly it's not a surprise. We're not giving away any secret that, yeah, we're not. We certainly will be casting aspersions in a certain other direction. So I don't think that's a big surprise to anybody. So I guess with that said, I think we just have to have a further conversation before openings, and perhaps counsel can do that.
All right, on behalf of Mr. Chichuniak.
I have the same thoughts, Your Honor.
All right, and since I was casting aspersions on mispronunciations of last names, I want to make sure that I'm pronouncing your client's name appropriately.
This has been an issue since the beginning, Your Honor, and the way that I think about it is it's pronounced the reverse of how it's spelled. So the C is a CH, and CH is a hard C. It's
Chikuniak.
Chikuniak.
Okay, I'll do better from now on, sorry.
Took me a while to figure it out too, Your Honor.
All right, from the people on the issue I just brought up, the
Your Honor, I agree. I think we're going to be able to work this out just fine. And when I looked back over your oral ruling from the motions hearing, obviously what happened before the paramedics got to the scene is not going to be relevant to their mental state or standard of care, but it has a lot of relevance to medical causation. Certainly it has relevance if, fault is being cast on others. And so I think we're going to be able to work this out fine with the defense. And I think conferring about our opening statements will take care of any issues and we can raise them ahead of time if there are any that remain.
okay, all right. Let's see, what else do I have to? All right, there's a, with respect to the questionnaire, I'm going to certainly consider perhaps rewording the statement of the case. What the courts, well, I'll consider it. I think what I am trying to balance is trying to figure out what the potential jurors may already know or have heard about the case versus what the outcomes of the first two trials are. I certainly welcome folks to share their thoughts on that. I've been the first two relatively consistent, but and I know at least I just listen to the radio on the way home and on the way to work, and once in a while listen to the news. And my impression is that there hasn't been quite as much coverage on the second trial as the first, but to a certain degree, I think it's kind of important to put some of the names of the co-defendants in there just because it's somewhat likely that some of the jurors may have heard something or will have heard something by the time this trial gets rolling. So I guess what I'll ask the parties to do is perhaps confer and send, if you can come to a agreeable conclusion, just send it to me. And if you have different thoughts, send them to me, and I'd love to get that by the 9th.
Judge, you read my mind. I literally wrote down prior to you saying that we need to work with co-counsel and opposing counsel on a joint statement of the case for the court and questions. I think we can do that. We can certainly do that and get that to the court.
All right, I might put a little more emphasis in the next questionnaire for this trial on press coverage stuff. I think that could be important. I think I'm going to stick with 3 alternates. First trial was a little, I had some concerns, but we've had pretty good luck with our 3 alternates in this case, so I think I'll stick with 3.
It's just for the record on that, I would we would have joined the people's request for force solely because we're pigeonholed between two holidays and right in the heart of flu and COVID season. That's my only concern is I've had that creep up and I just don't, but you've been sitting over them. And if you haven't had that, we defer to you, but we would have joined the people's request.
All right, I'll give that a little more thought.
And Your Honor, if I might just add on to that, my other concern is weather and school closures being likely obstacles. And even with a significant delay and a juror arriving, we're going to be on a tight schedule, I think, to get this trial done before the holidays. And I just want to, anything we can do to keep it moving would be great.
All right, well, on the subject of keeping it moving, I suppose the court, first of all, I understand that it's somewhat difficult with expert witnesses, particularly those who are traveling, to schedule times and dates and things of that nature. So I've tried to be patient, I suppose, with accommodating the schedules of the witnesses. But my patience is wearing thin. So suffice to say that my expectation would be that when we start the trial, that we have witnesses available to testify. And there have been a number of days over the past 7 weeks that we've broke earlier, taken a day off. And actually the day off part, I don't mind all that much because I think it allows counsel and the jurors to take a bit of a break. But my expectation would be that we have witnesses available when the cases respectively start. So all right, advisory witnesses. It's a little bit more dicey when there's one defendant, but here there's two. So I'll listen to any argument that people have, the court, because this is a joint trial. Generally wouldn't have any problem with the parties having additional advisory witnesses just based upon the length of the trial. From the defendants?
I think the only advisory were requests of investigators. My guess is just to have witnesses and help with efficiency, Judge. And if that's the case, we don't object.
No objection, Mr. Kuchat, Your Honor.
All right. But what my plan is, as far as the jury selection process, is we'll bring in 100 the first day, and if we need more, we'll bring in whatever we need the second day.
Judge, I think we have questionnaires on the 17th in November. How many are filling out the questionnaires? Is that all of them, the whole panel?
As far as I'm aware, I'll need to consult with my jury commissioner, but I think we had on tap at the beginning 250 per trial, so I'll just probably rely upon that. And
That's great.
as we did in the other trials, we'll upload them into hard drives, onto hard drives, and have them available hopefully sometime on the 17th. Usually we usually get them by 10 or 10:30.
Did you want, that's what I wasn't sure. Were we just meeting here then and grab the hard drive and go? There was no reason for us to clear that whole day and wait at the courthouse and.
No, but what I would like to do sometime, I look at the schedule here. Okay, they're filling them out on the 17th. Unlike many people, I'm not taking the whole week off. of Thanksgiving. So I would perhaps hope that either Monday, Tuesday, we could get together and figure out which ones the parties agree we don't need to bring in.
Fine.
Is there any days that are better than others? Because I know a lot of people do take the week off nowadays, but
Tuesday's better for us, is that?
I think that whole week being more or less dedicated to this
Yeah.
process, I think any day that's good for the court is good for us, Your Honor.
all right.
It's really the jurors that.
Can we check that? I'm going to be probably covering a whole bunch of dockets, so it might be the afternoon, might be the best. Yeah, but I'm covering because all the other judges are leaving.
Your Honor, I wonder, I mean, if, I don't know whether we need to appear if we confer and have an agreed list. I mean, we certainly can appear, but we could also.
I'd be okay with WebEx.
That's fine. Just we can plan, if it would work with the court, we can plan to confer, and if we have an agreed upon list, get it to the court, and otherwise, any questions, maybe do WebEx in the late afternoon on Tuesday. Later afternoon, not late.
2. What else needs to be addressed?
Judge, we had a question, and it's been in all our motions along the way, and three things, I guess. First of all, question about whether or not we have the actual raw data from all the body worn cameras, because everything we have says edited, and it's just confusing. So we've been provided a flash drive. We certainly know this stuff. I believe that the gentleman from California, I don't want to mispronounce his name, edited, but there was a memo that said that the body worn cameras were sent to Rocky Mountain Forensic Crime Lab. And everything we have seems to be edited. And we just want to know if we have the raw data, and if we do, what it's in.
So on Monday, we sent you guys a list of all of our AV files by Bates number. I would use that, and it should be no enhanced video of any kind.
Okay, we'll look into that, and I'll email if there's an issue. Second, I know the people and the court were aware with our endorsement of Dr. Dragovich, and we had hoped to have his report yesterday, and I had emailed him yesterday, and his response, and I'll just read it so that people know what we're dealing with. Dr. Dragovich said he did not have, pulling it back up, he said, I do not have the report yet. I'm so sorry. I had an unexpected emergency in my family. My mother-in-law passed away, which is taking us across the pond or to Europe. We will get back next Tuesday. I also had a situation in the adjoining county, which has led to me being inundated with twice the number of autopsies I usually do. I would hope to have this report to you no later than the 17th. I can call as soon as I get back from my mother-in-law's funeral.
17th is getting really close to trial. I would say anything we could do to have it ahead of time. And obviously we need to be able to potentially rebut these opinions as a pathologist. So there's a wide range of things that he might be testifying about. That's obviously going to take some work on our experts, and that's putting us into the week of Thanksgiving to do that. So.
And Judge, he knows, and we'll keep the pressure on him. I obviously.
All right. Well, this is what we'll do. We'll address that issue further on the Tuesday afternoon, the 21st, along with the other things we'll be dealing with via WebEx. If there are specific materials that you believe it's important for the court to be able to view, please upload them. We're done. What else?
Your Honor, just coming back to the AV files, do you have any redactions that you want made if we could know, the sooner the better, so that we can actually get that done.
Yes, and certainly, again, with talking about the openings, we can confer about that as long as they're the unedited, and we talk about the openings. I don't think there are any redactions.
All right, it sounds like that's a work in progress, so we'll discuss that as well on the 21st.
Connor, I don't think we have anything else today.
I don't think we do either.
Nothing else, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Have a good weekend.